All right, so now I've gone through and done some work here. What I'm tempted to try to do now is I'm going to make this into a program, right? Which is sort of the other part. And again, this is kind of like what I've done already, but you know what? Let's I'm trying to take you sort of from concept to code, right? So we've gone ahead, we've created, it seems that we've desk checked this and we understand the formula at least a little bit. There are going to be some areas here that we don't know what we're doing here. Like, what is this number? What is that number? Don't think like that. What you've just done now is you've basically taken the input, you've done your little processing, and you figure it out at the end of the day how much the payment is. So now let's do this. So let's do this in Python. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to idle. All right. And I'm going to get myself a program. I'm going to throw away my shell. And let's just have this in a way that I can see my formula to sort of guide me. So what I'd be first of all wanting to do here is I want to capture my values. So I'm going to create variables which I'm going to rename, because of course I don't want to have PVR, and I want to actually have real variable names. So I'm going to have a float present value, and the present value is going to be equal to 20,000. I'm hard coding it to follow my example, so I know I'm actually right. Now I'm also going to have the float rate per period. We got to keep reminding ourselves this is per period, and that's going to be 0.05 divided by 12. All right, and then I'm going to have the float number of periods, which is going to be 4 multiplied by 12. Now, I'm already doing some calculations, so let's verify that these actually are right. Let's print this. Let's print this, and I'm going to use the comma separator in the print statement, and let's print this. So I'm going to print all 3. All right, and I tell you what, I'll give myself a love note at the top here. I'm going to go print debug, because that's kind of what we're doing. Debug. Here are some values. And I'm not going to bother explaining what they are. I'm just going to run them. So I'm going to go run. Source has got to be saved. I'm just right now going to put it out here, and I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to put it, I don't know, man, just calc payment. Yeah, that was the previous one, but that's fine. So we're going to run it. And so here are the debug. So I'm expecting that. That is and put them side by side if you want. That's the rate. I'm expecting that, which is awesome. That's the number of periods, 48. I'm expecting that. That's awesome. If you're trying to follow along, this is a great time to pause, as we're now just about to go into the goofy programmatical part. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to basically do this calculation, and I want to do it slowly so I understand what's going on. So in this case, maybe a way to start would be to work out, well, what is, when I'm trying to follow along here, we know that we want, again, did I look it up? Didn't, but whatever. I think that's the numerator. No, not the epsilon thing. Thanks for the ad. I want the numerator is supposed to resolve to 83.4. So let's get the numerator going. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go float payment. Now, this guy is going to be, at the end of the day, the actual output variable. But right now, I'm going to build it very slowly. So we're going to go float payment is assigned, and it looks like it's going to be assigned. The rate multiplied by the present value. So we know that we've got the rates per period here, and we know that that's going to be multiplied by the present value. All right. So now what we can do is I can go, in fact, actually, let's just go print. And we're going to print that out and see what that actually looks like. And we run it and see, is this going to work? And we go. And what I got there is I got 83.333, which, interesting enough, I was rounded to 4 here, but that would get rounded down to 3, but that's fine. All right, good deal. So we got that going. Cool. Just throw out the shell. So now the other thing I want to do is I want to work out basically what probably what this area is. So that again, it looks like that's going to be the rate plus 1, right? The rate, so here it is, the rate plus 1 to the power of negative n. All right, so I'm going to make a throwaway variable for this, and it's going to be the rate plus 1. So let's go 1 plus that rate per period, and it's going to be to the power of, and then it's going to be a negative version of that. So what I'm going to do is go -1 multiplied by the number of periods, and that will get me a negative number. All right, and let's close. And is there another close? No, there's not another close. All right, so let's print that, comma, x. Remember, I don't like using variables called x. This is basically throwaway for now. 0.819. Interesting again, it's shifted a little bit. The numbers are slightly different. Always makes me nervous, but that's fine. Gonna throw out the shell. So I know that part of the formula is working now. So I kind of got that working, and I kind of got that working. And so, am I right? The rest of it's pretty simple now. It's gonna be 1 subtract that, and that whole thing gets divided. So if this is working great, why don't I just, at this point, go 1 subtract that and flesh that out and see what that looks like. So let's do this, and let's go run again. Go. And so now that number is 0 point whatever. That looks good. That number. So really, at the end of the day, it's got to be those two divided. That's looking pretty good. So why don't I take this, copy, and do this. So really, I tell you what, actually, I'm going to do this divided by you know what? This is going to become unwieldy, right? Okay, so yes, I could put the whole thing into one line. I really could, but I don't like how this is looking already. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep x as a throwaway. That's going to be basically the denominator. That's going to be the numerator. If I'm wrong, by the way, feel free to put that in the comments if I've got those things wrong. But now really I can just say float payment is assigned float payment divided by this throwaway variable x. All right, so if I run that now, I can run and I go. I'm getting 460 as the float payment, which is what I was expecting there. Slightly off too, by the way, but okay, that's good enough. Cool. And now the other thing I was supposed to work out was the total amount and the cost of borrowing. So at this point, I can kind of throw away my debugs. I can maybe make this a nice little processing. Well, results, I'll basically say. And so this number, these don't make any sense to me anymore, but I will basically say there's my float payment. And then I'm going to say print float payment multiplied by the number of payments or number of periods, right? And actually, I'll put a string in front. I'll put a string in front of both. The payment would be, and I'm going to use the comma to basically have this variable pop up a space afterwards. I'm going to basically say here the total cost of the loan is, and I'll have that show up. Let's run that. Don't code too many times before you run it and test it to make sure you haven't blown it. So that is the loan amount. That is that. That does seem to match close enough to that. And now the next bit here is what is the cost of borrowing, which would be the principal. It would be the total amount subtract the actual present value. So that's going to be print and what did I call it here? So actually I called, yeah, okay. You know what? Cost of borrowing. The cost of borrowing is, and what that one is it's going to be this thing. Subtract the present value. And let's run that. And I get an error because it's a string. And oh, I don't have a comma. That's why I got the error. Comma. Run, run, run. There it is. That's my total cost of borrowing, which is close enough to that. So what I did there is I kind of took my desk check work and made it kind of into a bit of a program. The next video, I'm going to make this more of a Python type of program.